Step into the world of the Superpro podcast, where we lay out the blueprints of home service excellence. Join us as we break down the wins and struggles of pros who are at the top of their game. Put their wisdom into practice as you build your company's success. Today, Roland Lightingberg, co-founder of Housecall Pro, talks with Jason Julian, the founder of Julian Heat Air. Jason lays out the challenges he faced stepping out on his own and the role Housecall Pro played in his success. He shares how he's grown to 12 employees and a fleet of 6 vehicles with the importance of transparency, right pricing, and providing customers with options. Jason also shares insights on networking, community-driven marketing, leadership, coaching, hiring, development, and fostering a collaborative work environment. The Superpro podcast is brought to you by Housecall Pro, the leading platform for the home service industry. Housecall Pro streamlines your workflows and simplifies everything from scheduling and dispatching to communication and billing. Join more than 40,000 home service pros who have already revolutionized their businesses. Work smarter with streamlined workflows, get organized with centralized information, and scale your business. Learn more at housecallpro.com. Let's dive into today's episode and uncover the secrets to success in the home service industry.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Superpro podcast, the heartbeat of home service excellence. I am Roland Lightingberg, your host, co-founder of Housecall Pro, and I'm an advocate for all the hardworking professionals who make our homes better, safer, and more comfortable. Through Housecall Pro, I've had the privilege of supporting hundreds of thousands of pros just like you, empowering them to achieve more, stress less, and redefine success in our industry. Today, we're turning up the heat. We've got a very special guest here. We've got Jason Julian. He's the mastermind behind Julian Heat Air in Heber Springs, Arkansas. Jason's story isn't all about air conditioning, keeping warm and cool in the winter and the summer. It's about his dedication, his innovation, the leadership he has, his ties to his community. His company is currently on track to hit $3 million in 2024. He's got 12 employees, 3 service trucks, 3 installed vans. And we're going to do a little deep dive into the world of heating and air and covering some of the secrets to his success. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on here, Jason.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Great. Great to have you. Well, I'd love, you've got such a unique story. I think, I've known you now for quite a long time here, but I'd love for you just to share with our audience a little bit about, how you started your company, how long ago, when, and tell us about, the first days, of Julian Heat Air.
All right. So Julian Heat Air started in August of 2019. A terrible time to start a heating and air company in Arkansas because the busy season was over or nearing its end. But I knew as soon as I started my company, I wanted to use Housecall Pro because I had been using it at the previous company. A quick little insight into Housecall Pro is I somehow, some way got wind of Housecall Pro. Actually, I know where it was. It was on a video of a technician. A guy named Stephen Reardon was using it and doing YouTube videos, and he had Housecall Pro sticker on the back of his van. I'm like, what is that? So I started digging into it, and I'm like, ooh, I want this. I want to be able to pull up the last call that I went on. I want to see the picture. I want to know what I did and what we charged, because my previous employer had everything written down in a binder, and only he had access to it. So he would send me on service calls, say, go to this address. This is the customer. I didn't have their phone number, their email. I didn't know the history of everything that we've done. And I knew some of these people we had been there before. And I'm like, what did we do? I was there, but I don't remember. And I took the idea to him, and he was like, no, we don't need any fancy stuff like that. He's like, I got it all written right here, just in a notepad. And I believed in it so much after seeing people talk about it and digging in and doing a little research. I was like, he may not want it, but I need it for myself, so I'm going to pay for it. So I set up everything with Housecall Pro. I put it on my own personal credit card, and I paid for it for like 6 months before he was willing to even look at it. And then we started using Housecall Pro.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So you were essentially the tech and you were paying for it. The owner didn't believe. And so you were using it for a little bit before you could convince him to switch over.
And one of the things I liked is the fact that we could invoice somebody and we could take a credit card. We could mark it as paid, send them an invoice right there. I didn't have to fill out a paper ticket with my chicken scratch and hopefully they could read what I did. And
That's right.
what I liked about it is a lot of the things we were doing were the same thing. So if it was already stored in somewhere in a database, I could click on it as opposed to writing it all out. Man, that would save me time and get me on to the next customer to help them.
That makes a lot of sense. So what inspired you to leave and go off by yourself and like jump into the world of just business ownership?
So that's kind of a long story, and we don't have time right now to go into all the little details, but essentially I was gearing up to take over the company from him as he was going to retire. And he kind of held that carrot in front of my head so many times and missed the deadline. It was supposed to be after 5 years, then it was 6 years, then it was 6.5. And I finally got fed up and I said, you know what? I'm going to just do this on my own. He's not willing to innovate. He's ready to get out. These are going to be my customers for life. I'm still young enough. I'm going to have a lot of customers for a lot of years. I better do it now. So I tried to buy his company. He ended up not wanting to sell. And I just said, okay, I'm going to come turn my keys in on a Saturday afternoon. And Monday morning, I started my own company. But I will tell you, from Saturday afternoon until Monday, I had been getting in touch with Housecall Pro. I'm like, I got to get set up on this. I got to start it right. I need a website. I need to be able to let people book online, which we had not been utilizing, but I knew it was available. And I'm like, there's no reason not to give customers the option.
I love the way you put it. Like, there's no reason not to give them the option, because if a customer wants to, just let them do it. Why make it hard?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's one of those things that I knew when I decided to get into this trade and become a really good advocate for homeowners. Like I'm a homeowner. I was duped by my HVAC company before I got into this trade. He sold me a new box and bounced, and I never heard from him again. That experience is what drives me to give every option possible, spend time with the customer and answer their questions. And if they don't want our services, I'm going to shake your hand and say, no problem. I'm going to get down the road. It's not personal. It's a business deal, but I want you to have options. Literally, I had a box changed out, my air conditioner. Next year, I was miserable in my house. My ductwork was terrible. My return was in the wrong spot. Literally, all the guy did was replace one thing and never called me back. And because of that bad experience, I take that with me into every home I'm in. Every customer I meet, I remember what it's like to be a homeowner at the mercy of a so-called professional.
That's right. That's sometimes hard. And I feel like sometimes those moments need to happen to inspire you to do better, right? Because you can do better.
Absolutely. Well, I just remember how I felt. I mean, I spent all this money. I would have spent way more money with this contractor had he told me the issues that my current system had. Not just the equipment that's running it, but my ductwork's part of the system. My house is part of the system. He didn't educate me on any of that stuff. And like I said, he would have got another 10 grand out of me had he told me, hey, your ductwork's crappy. You need to replace this. We need to move this and do this, this, and this. I would have done it. But I didn't know I needed to do it. So that makes me a better technician, salesman, business owner, whatever, because of that bad experience, because I want a customer to never be dissatisfied with their purchase they made with my company based on lack of information. Now, I'm not going to please everybody. I'm not living in some world that everything's going to be great and every customer is going to love us and blah, blah, blah. But I want to make sure I cover my butt so that they can't come back and say, well, you didn't give me the option. You didn't tell me there were better options. You just gave me the low bid, which is what my last company did. We did the bottom of the barrel stuff for the cheapest amount possible, and we were always busy, but we were not making any money. And
I think you hit the nail on the head there. Is just, a lot of folks that, especially coming from a role like a technician, where you're a technician, not a business owner yet, they think like, okay, I just want to win this and then go to the next one. I think, making that switch is huge in that mindset, which is just like, look, I'm just getting all the options. I don't know what they can or even can't afford. I'm going to put all the things out there and I'm going to give my best suggestions. And, I'm going to work with them to help make sure they understand their options so they can make the right pick, rather than, I'm going to try to sell them this one thing.
Absolutely. And see, when I found out that if I gave people options, I would go in with a preconceived notion that this customer is not going to buy the best setup I have, the best offering.
Mm-hmm.
But what I came to find out is my preconceived notions were just that, my preconceived notions. They weren't what the customer wanted. And the other thing I learned to do was ask questions. Let them tell me what they want. And if what they want is not feasible, it's not something I'm willing to do, then I don't even have to offer that. But I don't know what they want until I ask them the questions. I am not there to come and try to sell them anything. They're calling me because of a problem. And if I can pinpoint that is an actual problem and can be solved, man, now I give them to them with solutions. This solution costs this much, and this is what you get. This solution costs this much, and you get this, this, and this. And this other one is the complete package that totally renovates the whole thing. I don't know what your budget is, but these are the solutions you need. I can do any one of them. Whatever you want to do, whatever you're willing to do, whatever your budget is willing to do. And because I have Housecall Pro and I'm connected to Wisetack, man, I can offer financing right there. I use another company for financing. I try to, Wisetack is not my first choice when it comes to financing, but it's so helpful that it's available and it's there on every service call. Yeah. Like to do a repair that's $500-$600, my other company does not offer financing for under $1,000. So being able to get those $700, $800, $900 ticket items at $12 a month to a customer is phenomenal. People who can't afford, they're just like me that work hard for a living. They can't afford an extra, $1,000 out of nowhere, but I can afford $12, $29, $100 a month. And I will end up doing more. Most of the time, the customers that I find will end up going with the more expensive repair option because they can finance it.
That's a really good tip. I don't think enough people, recognize that is like, your financial situation is different than some of the homeowners and you may not know. And oftentimes when they're calling you, it's something they didn't anticipate or budget for. And so they might simply not have the cash just sitting around. And, it's not good to put stuff on credit cards constantly, and those APRs are really high. So if there's another option, why not?
Absolutely. So that's one of the things that I've always liked. And I know this is not just a plug for Housecall Pro or whatever, but the fact that I have options for my customers, for my technicians and my team members, man, there's so much available that I'm not even utilizing everything Housecall Pro has to offer. I wish I could give myself a little bit more time over here to explore some of those and put those into effect because I could be doing better than I am right now.
Definitely. I mean, this ties in great to what you were telling me earlier, because, as you're working for this other company, you're thinking about, going off on your own and figuring out how to really make an impact. You went to one of our masterminds in Nashville. Why did you go there and what did you get from that experience to make you comfortable enough to make that jump?
Oh man. Okay. So, I mean, I literally had to schedule my vacation to get to go to the mastermind. I talked to my boss and I said, hey, I'm going to need off several days. I'm traveling, which was a 7-hour drive away to Nashville to go check this. And he's like, what is it with this Housecall Pro crap? You're so into it. And I'm like, I'm into it for what we get out of it. We have all this stuff and it's called a mastermind. I get to meet other pros and see what they're doing. I get to meet the co-founder. I got to meet Roland. I was excited, man, because as soon as I started getting into using the software, you were available. Your face was on the Facebook pages and you were talking to people and you were like, hey, I'm driving to so-and-so. I've got 2 hours. Somebody call me. Here's my phone number. If you got a question, I'll do my best to answer it. I'm like, man, most owners of any kind of business or higher ups in the business don't make time for people like me. I'm just a technician out here trying to make a living and feed my family. And yet, this person is personable and seems to care about the issues I'm having. And like, hey, I'll take your information. I'll get it back to people and we'll look at it. If it's something we can do, we will. And you always have. That is so phenomenal. And that helps me feel like we're colleagues instead of, hey, I'm just purchasing a software from you. I'm like, you're running a business and you're getting better. And my feedback helps you get better.
That's right.
You get feedback from other people that help my business. And it's like this big circular
It's like
thing.
an
It all comes back around.
ecosystem. Yeah, it's super dynamic and it's really great. And I feel like that's a good tip for any business. You have to be willing to take and receive feedback and then do something about it. And the more you can do that, that's the only way you can get better. And that's awesome because I remember that mastermind you came. I think you brought your daughter too.
Yeah.
And you guys were hanging out there together. And I know you got a chance to connect to a bunch of other super pros. You weren't a super pro yet, but I think we had several there at that event, and we did a panel. And that was definitely like a lot of learnings. And then you decided, all right, you're going to start on yourself. What was that step like to hire your first person? How long did it take you from just setting up your accounts, your bank accounts, your LLCs? You had your original logo this is a badass logo you have now, like what you got now. Like, how long did that process take? And then how long till you kind of hired your first employee?
Okay. So I started the business and I had, almost immediately I had some jobs to do. People knew me and they had known because I'm pretty vocal about it. Like, I let people know, hey, I no longer work for this company. I'm doing my own thing now. And people are like, hey, you were the reason we were using the other company. So now you've got my business. So I was blessed to have had a voice in the community as far as HVAC goes. So people knew me. Most of them thought I owned the other company, which was the goal. The goal was I was going to take over the company.
You're behaving like an owner mentality. Yep.
So they already knew me. So it's not like I stole business from the other company. They didn't even know the other guy existed because he was nowhere to be seen, nowhere to be relied upon. So I had a good thing right there, and I would hire a day helper to help me lift stuff and use stuff. I'd call somebody up, hey man, you want to make an extra couple $100? I need your help. And I did my own thing for several months, probably 3 or 4 months. And then I knew someone that could help me. I was starting to gain traction. It took off really fast. I started right before COVID, and COVID actually blew my business up because people were stuck at home. They had all this money. They were going to go on these vacations, and now they can't go on vacation. So they're like, hey, let's renovate our home. Let's change this. Let's do plumbing. Let's do HVAC. Let's do a new roof. So home services soared in 2020, at least for me and in this area. We couldn't get everything we needed. Supplies were starting to run out and things like that. But we had a lot of people willing to spend money on projects.
There was a lot of demand. Yeah, for sure.
So one thing I will tell people is immediately when I was by myself in my own truck, which I switched to a van about 3 weeks after I got in business, I traded my truck that had a payment on it for a van with a payment on it. And now I had wheels. I had no logo. I had no office. I had nothing. It was just me and my iPad sitting in Walmart working up bids and proposals after hours. And I would do a lot at home too. But first thing I did was I believed in me and my quality and what I was providing the customer. So I charged premium prices when I had no overhead. That was the biggest thing because most people that I know that start a business, they come in, hey, we'll beat any price you got. I'm like, hey, you're going to get the best service ever, and I'm going to take care of you, and I'm going to be there to take care of you for the life of your system, the life of what you got. All right, well, what are you going to do the job for? And they're like, oh, wow, that's a lot. That's kind of the same price I got from one of the larger companies. And I said, well, have you had experience with any of the larger companies or other companies around? They're like, yeah, we didn't like them. They were good here and they didn't do this. And I'm like, so would you pay less to have me do it if you like my service? And they were like, no, we trust and we believe in what you do. You've taken care of us since you got into this. And they were willing to pay me the same price as a 10-person company over here because I guaranteed it. I'm like, my name's on this. I changed it to Julian Heat Air. You get me. I'm going to take care of you. And people were willing to pay it.
I love that tip. That's a super golden nugget. I don't want people to skip by that. I want them to just write that down, which is like, as you're going in business, even if you're just getting started, even if you're small, charge the right price out of the get-go. Don't try to go like, oh, okay, well, I got to win more business. So let me be the guy to, underbid just because I don't have much overhead. come in
Yes.
there, represent your brand. And then, I mean, you stood behind it. Your name's on the business. So if anything went down, you're the man in charge.
Absolutely. And I knew that I wanted to have good vehicles. I wanted to have good tools. And I was going to be the one training everybody that came through. So I invested all that money when I didn't have overhead into vehicles, tools, processes, which I'm still not great at. I'll be honest. We don't have all of our processes lined out. And that's something I wish I had done earlier on, was find some processes and really implement those, because that could have saved me a lot of headache for a couple of years of, well, we're doing it this way, and now we're doing it this way, and now we're doing it this way.
How are you documenting all that, Julian? How does that work at Julian Heating Air? Or do you have like a standard Julian SOP? This is how Julian Heating Air people do it, or is this or how do you do that?
So for the first several years, it was hey guys, this is how we're doing it. Hey, don't forget to do this, this, and this. It was word of mouth.
Yep.
Which, if I'd have been smart, I would have written it down so that any new hire or new person would come in. But I was there with them. They were working for a set amount of hours per day. I knew I was going to be on every job. But this is definitely a tip to someone starting out. If you know you're going to get bigger and scale and grow and get more people, write down everything you do the way you want it done and just expound on it. Just take a tablet in your truck or your car, whatever, write a few things down. When you do something and it's wrong and you want to do something different next time, write it down and get it on paper so you can look at it and say, I want the next guy to be able to do this. I want to be able to turn a sheet into someone and say, this is what we do. Boom, 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 boom. And it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be stuff that you're going to do. And there's definitely some of my processes that I was doing for a long time that I've had to change because somebody taught me a better way and taught me that what I was doing wasn't accurate. So be willing to learn and be humble enough to say, you know what? I don't know everything. Sure. I'm always going to learn. And even if it's from somebody less experienced than myself, I have learned so much from new hires that had no HVAC experience because they don't see it the same way I do. I get used to it being this way, and they say, hey, what about this? And it's like, wow, I've never tried it. Let's try it. Oh, wow, that worked better than my way. So I tell my crew, I really don't like to hear this is the Jason way or this is what Jason would do. You know that I want it to be the best it possibly can. So I don't care if that's Kyle's way. I don't care if that's Pat's way. Let's do it the Julian way and do it better. If we learn that the way we've been doing it, and if I've been teaching you something that's wrong, I'll be the first to say, you know what? I learned a better way. Scratch that. The way I was teaching you was wrong. Let's do this now and have the list of the benefits for the customer, for the team, for everybody involved.
I feel like that's a really good golden nugget because I think a lot of people think once you put something in process and it's like set in stone. And so what you're saying is, all the way up to the leadership, all the way up to the ownership, be willing to, be open to change, evolving your SOPs, your processes, learn from others. Like, where did you learn some of your changes from processes besides new hires? Are there any communities online, or are there other folks or mentors that you've kind of helped coach you, or where did those come from? And where would you tell someone that's starting out in the business to even start with?
So yes, I'm involved in quite a few Facebook groups and mostly in the back end. I like to watch what's going on and see what people are experiencing and using. I just started networking right away. I mean, I literally started being in groups and seeing what other people would post and how they did it. And I would reach out to them directly. I would instant message somebody and say, hey man, I saw your post in XYZ group, whatever HVAC group this is. And I like what you did. How did you do that? Do you have 5 minutes to share with me what it took to get that? What tool were you using? So I'm not afraid to ask for help. And I think a lot of that comes with most people that know me or have seen any of the stuff I do. I'm a recovering drug addict and alcoholic. So I go through a recovery process daily, but I also belong to a recovery group. And I learned that there's the center of the universe and I'm not it. So, and I'm not the smartest person in the world.
Yeah.
And what you said about being able to adapt or evolve my processes, I mean, that starts right here at the top. If I'm not willing to see that there's a better way to do it, then I've stopped growing. And I don't ever want to stop growing personally, spiritually, mentally, and financially. The financially is not the main thing. So I don't identify with a lot of the groups that are pushing big sales and, man, you got to do this high pressure stuff. That doesn't work on me because I'm a homeowner. I'm a human. I'm a father. I'm a brother. I'm an uncle. I have people in my community that I want to relate to. I'm not going to try to sell them something they don't need.
That's right. Yeah.
So
I think that's the right attitude for sure.
So ethics come into it and moral obligation. Like I said, I belong to recovery group and I've worked on my spirituality and my relationships with other people, my expectations of myself and of others. That's a really hard one in business because I have key players in different groups within my organization. And one of the biggest things that we're dealing with is allowing the people in your group to be wrong, allowing them to be right, but be willing to not have a preconceived notion of what to do and keep those expectations low. Now, the expectations of quality is always high, and what we deliver to our customers, that's the standard. Okay. But when I'm dealing with someone, anything can happen. There's so many variables. With HVAC, it's weather, it's customers, it's money, it's time, it's resources, being able to secure the equipment. So there's so many things that are against us or that are not predetermined. We're going to have to be adaptable and we're going to have to be able to pivot. This is what we were designed to do and what we said we were going to do. But this, and this happened. So we still want to get over here to the very end destination of a beautiful, great install, but we may have to detour the course and not give up any of our core values, which are honesty, community, accountability, and quality. I mean, be accountable. You're going to make a mistake. If you're trying hard enough in what you're doing, you are going to make a mistake. You are human. It's okay. Tell me about it. Be accountable. Let me know you made the mistake, and I'm going to be here to help you overcome that. We're going to solve it. It's nothing that we're going to run into is something that is going to disrupt the entire world.
Yeah, I really like the way that you put it, which is like, you have to be flexible and adaptable. And then what you do is you use your core values to help guide your way through the times when you need to be flexible and adaptable. And I think, I'm sure the way that you said it, everyone in your company can just rattle those off, and that's top of mind. And that's their, their modus operandi. That's just how they're going to go out there and go do the work every single day. And I feel like that's a great tip too, just as people are starting to grow their business is, you need those to help guide your team for when you're not there. Cause as you grow the business, Jason, you can't be on every single install truck. You got 3 of them, it's just not possible. And that's some way you found to scale your business to 12 people so far.
Yeah. And I love what I do. I love being a part of it. And it's nice because I don't really have a lot of the recruiting issues. Most of the hiring, I have a stack. I got one in today right here on my desk. I got an application. I have about 50 applications. We don't hire just anybody of people wanting to work with this company. They see what we do in the community. So another little tip or trick is get involved in your local Facebook groups. Be there and respond to people. Offer up some advice. I mean, I don't try to hide our processes. It's not proprietary. I don't make my team sign a non-compete. If you don't want to be here, I don't want you here. That's okay with me. I'll shake your hand. You can go on to the next place. And you know what? With that attitude, I've had 4 people in the last 2 years leave. One guy tried to start his own. Another one went to another company. Somebody thought they wanted to go into a different field. All 4 of them came back and said, man, can I please work with you? Like, I left it on a good thing, and I don't mind somebody wanting to try something. Yep. But I've made a culture here, and I'm a part of it. I didn't make it. It's made up of all the individuals. I perpetuate and motivate this culture to be accepting. If somebody doesn't want to be a part of it, That's okay. I'm not going to be mad at you for it, but I'm also going to let you go ahead and go so that we can find those that want to. We have a couple of
attitude. Yeah, that's a really good attitude to have. I think a lot of people think that, well, if I put a good non-compete, then I'm not going to lose employees, and that's this like scarcity mindset, fixed mindset kind of pattern that you can get easily stuck into.
The way I felt is if somebody made me sign that, they're holding me hostage in there, and it's now no longer a collaboration of us working together toward a common goal. It's this person who has this big authority figure. I don't like when they call me the boss. I'm just another team member. I have my role, and I do have the responsibility of making sound decisions that are not always accepted by everybody at first, but we work together. It's a collaboration. I share with them what things cost, what it is to have general liability, what it costs for insurance on vans, what it costs for the tools. Yep. They know that stuff.
All of those costs.
Yep. Stay transparent. Let them know what all is involved. Hey, your wage, you may be a $25 an hour employee, but do you know it's costing the company $45 an hour to have you? Mm-hmm. That van you drive, the wear and tear, all those things. So that's kind of part of what you're doing. So take care of what you've got. And less money goes out for repairs and upkeep, and more can go back into your pocket because you completed tasks ahead of time and in a timely manner, and you took care of the stuff. You took care of materials. Every bit of that goes into whether I'm going to be able to give you an increase in pay. If you're one that's known for wasting materials or not taking care of your stuff that's provided, part of the reason that you're not getting a raise is your own fault. It's no longer my responsibility. I've given you this. What are you going to do with it? And it does take some time for people to understand that, because most have come from another company they treated them like a number. So I'm a little unconventional, even as a boss or a CEO or owner of a company, but I'm just a team member. And if I don't do my part, how can I expect them to do their part?
It's a good way of looking at it. Yeah.
It drives people crazy. I am telling you, I do have a great culture and a good company here because I'm surrounded by people who have a common goal of providing good service and a good product at the end of the day. But it does wear on people because I can be yielding, and I can sit back and allow somebody to be wrong to try to coach them into what they're going to become. I try to view that. And I'm not going to get into a deep spiritual thing, but I feel my creator views me way better than I know I am. He views me as I can be. Mm-hmm. And that's what I try to incorporate with my team is like, yeah, this person's not performing well right now, and they have this going on, but they can do it. I see it. I see it in the little things they do each day. So I'm going to keep nurturing that and look for the positive. And when I see them, I'm not going to be pissed off that they made a mistake. I'm going to feel it in here and go, wow, I wish somebody had shown me how to not make the mistake. So I'm going to be the guy. I get to be the boss I never had and show him, hey, man, I noticed you're doing this, this, and this. I went through that. I did that. This is how I found a way around that. And that comes directly from recovery and from spiritual principles that I try my best to incorporate in my daily life outside of work. So it takes work on oneself outside of the business to help me in my business with my relationship and my customers. That's where the honesty comes in. I have no problem showing a customer what my equipment costs. My price is this. I do a divisor. I have to charge this number to be able to complete it to this level that you're expecting from me and make a profit on the end of it, or I should go out of business. And I could give you the best work, but if I'm not here next year, who's going to service it? The other companies don't have this protocol of quality checks that we do. Nobody's going to do it. So I don't mind showing them that, yeah, your part costs $5, but I'm charging $250 for us to replace it because you get a warranty and you get me. You're getting me and my team. You're getting this person. You're getting Kyle on here. You're getting Evan. You're getting Miss Pat. You're getting all these people at your disposal. That's what I have to charge. Yes, you can get it from Amazon, but do they care about your unit? That they'll get it to you on Prime Day or whatever, but they're not going to change it for you.
No, especially when it gets hot and everyone's clicking the buttons and they don't even have the human capacity to do it. I love the way you position that. I think, for a lot of folks, they're listening to you and they're like, okay, I can understand his style of leadership. I can understand his style of being an owner and attracting talent, but I got to get jobs first. I'm not as popular as Jason was when he went and started his business. I know you've had some really cool, clever, just marketing techniques that you were starting to do that I really fell in love with. Maybe if you could just tell a couple of the stories here that are just kind of bootstrapped, local community driven, that fall in line with the values that you have. Maybe if you could share just some of those with our audience. I'm sure they're just dying to know.
Absolutely. So one of the things is, and I borrowed this from somebody else. I made sure that when I posted a thing on it in one of the groups, it's like, I did not come up with this. So don't think Jason's super smart and cool. I saw somebody else offering to do something for somebody else and just attach their name of their business to it. So there was a local coffee shop that had just opened up, and they were trying to get the people to know that they were there. Mm-hmm. And so I happened to know this business owner, and I'd frequented his spot, and I said, hey, you know what? I would love to put a sticker on like 10 cups a month or something, and you give away a free drink and charge it to me. And he says, well, how are we going to do that? Because I'm not always here. I have other employees working for me. That's a great idea, but I don't really know how to make it work. And then all of a sudden I said, you know what? I could go get a reloadable gift card for $100. You keep it on the side. We'll go through, and I want to authorize you to give away 10 free drinks. So let's randomly pull up your cups and just put a sticker on it here. Let's pull this size of cups and put, random stickers so that your employees aren't picking and choosing who they give it to. And this card is sitting right here with my name on it. And when that sticker comes up, man, you get to use my reloadable card that I got from Walmart. And when it runs out, I'm going to come back and reload it for you, or whatever works. And he says, man, that's a great idea. Thank you for doing that. And so he started getting his customers to let him take a picture and say, hey, thanks, I got a free drink from Julian Heat Air. I mean,
it's awesome.
I have to get the new logo, but here it is. This says, this drink compliments of Julian Heat Air. And
nice.
when people would come through, I mean, a coffee shop is, $7-8 for a coffee as you drive through. And when someone gets $7 or $8 free drink, man, like they're excited. So they were all willing. They're like, oh, thanks, Julian Heat Air. Or I'd see somebody at Walmart and they'd say, hey, man, thanks for my drink. And I didn't even know who it was. And I'd meet them and they'd say, oh, yeah, we didn't even know you did heating and air. We're going to use your company now. Thank you for doing that.
I love it. And it's like, it's got viral, people post it, it's goodwill, it's local community. It hits like kind of a lot of the core values too. It's just being honest and transparent. And this is why you're getting this free drink. I think a lot of people, think, oh, okay, well, I just got to do LSA ads. And then I got to do, the Thumbtack ads. And then I got to do SEO. And it's like, well, you all live in a community. Like there's got to be some clever ways. And this is a really cool, fun one that you did.
Another one I did was something to do with the local humane society. Our town loves animals and loves dogs, and we have a shelter that always needs food, always needs something to help with taking care of these animals that don't have a home. Man, I try to do as many things as I can for that. And the people that are there, they share, they're like, oh, they're good, but they may not use us for their HVAC. That's okay. I'm not doing it for their business. I do want people to notice some of the things, but that's not why I do it. I care enough, so I want to be involved in some of those things. Be one of the things I can say as far as to get notoriety in your local area, Facebook ads are very inexpensive. And if you show before and after, if you show something really, I love a really dirty air conditioner. That's one of my favorite things because I can show a tangible difference. I can show them the step-by-step, take step-by-step pictures before, during, and after of whatever service you're doing, what it looked like when you left. People resonate with a picture way more than me saying, hey, use me because I'm really, really good. My mom says I'm the best in the world.
You got all the certificates behind you that say, you're the super pro, the best.
Oh yeah. You like that? Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Super pro. But you know what? They don't know who super pros are and what they are.
No,
but I proudly display it because that sets us up as we're doing a little bit more. And I always want to do a little bit more than I did last week. Not necessarily better than the other company. That's the other thing is I had to be real careful to not try to diminish somebody else's reputation by what they did. So I tried to make sure that I would never reveal who came before me on this job. But hey, this customer didn't have this taken care of. This is what it looked like after service with us. And the other thing that's really awesome about Housecall Pro is being able to attach my Google reviews to every service call. So every time we have a done service call and an invoice is sent, man, that helps me. I'm one of the newest companies in this area, and we have almost 500 reviews. And a company that's been here for 50 years has like 8.
Yeah.
So
I think, and that's in what, the time span of just a handful of years, you've been able to just, skyrocket. And I think that's the thing is, when it comes to generating reviews, there's like a compound returns. The more you get, the sooner, then it just helps and it helps. And so, the best time to start was yesterday, but then also just automating that so you don't have to think about it every single time, or make it a part of the process. And that's just a gentle nudge to the homeowner. Be like, oh yeah, let me click this link real quick and just leave that review. If you've done a good job, don't be shy about it. Ask for it. And man, like you guys,
most people are willing to, because there's so much negativity. If you look at some of the sites, the local Facebook groups in your area, somebody's always complaining about somebody did this or did that. When you do a good job, it's harder for people to want to tell everybody else about it. But if they have that gentle nudge like you're talking about, it's easy for them. Make it easy for the customer to make. That's why giving Band-Aid repairs, immediate critical repairs, and what they possibly could do, give them all the information. People love to be in the driver's seat and make that determination. So if I give them a little review thing, they're like, oh yeah, they did do a good job. They did make me feel good. I even have some reviews that are 5-star reviews that they loved everything. They didn't like our price. I said, man, they were expensive, but they were worth it. They did above and beyond. They cleaned up crap at my house that was not even theirs. They cleaned up behind other trades, and it wasn't their job. They stayed after and played with my dog, and they let my kid, use the drill. Totally. Whatever. Something like that. Relate to the homeowner. They're in our community. These are our neighbors, man. They're not just customers.
I like going through the reviews too. Like I'm looking at them right now, 4.9 stars, 443 reviews. So you're definitely this summer, you're going to blow the 500, no problem. And then what Google does is they do a good job of like kind of bundling and clustering them. And one of the clusters is like communication. It's like, we've been very pleased with the service, excellence, professionalism, communication, and follow up and follow through. And then another one says, love the communication, keeping us up to date with the status of each step. And this is another, we're very responsive in getting out to see me, quoted me multiple options, and got the work scheduled immediately. Their communication level is beyond expectation.
And I love that you went to the communication, because that correlates right back to having Housecall Pro. When we schedule an appointment, it gives them an email, a text message. When we're on the way, customers remark all the time about how it was nice to know which technician was coming.
That's right.
They love the communication. A lot of my customers pay online through a text now. They don't even have to call in and mess with us. They get the reminder of you get an invoice. They're like, it's so easy. I can come in at the end of my day at 9:00 at night when the kids are in bed, and I can go through and pay my bill. This is the easiest way for me to do it, as opposed to all the other times I have to wait for somebody or I have to drive to a place. Yeah.
It's a lot of effort.
Giving them the option. Now, that is such a wonderful thing. And that's one thing else I like about Housecall Pro is you have different tiers and different levels. You're not making me sign up for this. You're like, hey, this is going to cost this, and it comes with these things. Will you get everything here and more for this much more? I have options. When I started out, I couldn't be on the same tier as I was with the other company, because I was a one-man show. I could afford the $59 or $69 a month or whatever it was.
Yeah, that's the essentials plan, the starting plan. Yep.
Dude, it was a lifesaver for me, because I could not afford what I knew I wanted, but I knew that once I got to that place, it was an easy upgrade to the next one. Hey, I get everything I've been getting and more. Now I've got to make sure I'm pricing that into and allowing my customers to pay for this so I can give them better service. So pricing's a big deal.
Yeah.
Like we brought up about someone starting out, do not undersell your services. If you are confident that you are going to be the best choice for that customer, charge for it, man. Do not be afraid to give somebody quality, because most of the time people will pay more for what they for good quality service than they will a cheap price. That's not always the case, but a lot of times they will. And like I said, they even commented on some of our reviews. Hey, super expensive, blah, 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 but great. I can't find anybody else that will answer the phone, that will actually show up when they say they do. They set the appointment and they make it, you know?
Yeah. You guys have built like an amazing online reputation. You've got in the Facebook group. You really, I mean, you started to grow really fast. And then at a certain point you're like, oh, baby, did you outgrow Housecall Pro? Like what caused you kind of like walk me through like why you thought that, and then how maybe you thought differently? Cause I think that's an interesting story. I think it happens too often.
Yeah. So, I was meeting with other, contractors, and a lot of people are like, oh man, what are you using? I'm like, Housecall. Like, oh, you're still using them? Well, when you get better, you'll be in this other software. And it's like, well, what does it provide? Oh man, it's got blah, 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 and all this stuff. And I started seeing those things and like, yeah, I want to take it to the next level. And I've kind of outgrown Housecall Pro because they don't have what this other contractor said that this other one did. And it doesn't track the KPIs and the metrics and all the things that I need to be successful. And I let this fear of missing out get the better of me. So I'm like, man, I'm going to sign up for this one. They got a great spiel. They hounded my butt all the time and promising me all these things. And now I got to get all my information out of Housecall into this new CRM. And I'm like, so I'm going to keep Housecall Pro, but I'm buying right in. I'm jumping in. And then it's like, boom, you have this big, long contract in, for a certain amount of time. And we were starting to try to implement what was in there. And every time we had a question, they were just like, oh, you just need to add on this service and add on this service and add on this service. And that's going to fix it. And we're like, okay, if we need it, we'll do it. That's another $200 or $300 a month. Crap. I don't know how we're going to afford it, but they say this is the best. And so it's like going through and it's like, okay, we're trying to do this onboarding and you're telling us these things. How do we get this done? Oh, you just need this other service. I'm like, I've heard that about 4 times now. And now my quoted price is now inflated several $100s more per month per user. And it's like, you're still not helping me. You're just telling me about this. And nobody's really helping us get what we need. And then finally we're like, you know what? I've made a big mistake. And I mean, I reached out to you personally. I'm like, hey, we're trying this. And you're like, oh man, you never made me feel bad. You just said, man, I wish you could see what we've been working on and what we're going to implement here in a month or 6 months. And you're like, man, we're here for you. We're rooting for you. Let me know how I can help. And I'm just like, wow, I just told this guy, I'm ditching your software. I'm going for the fancy new thing or bigger, better, whatever over here. And he's like, I'm cheering you on. I'm here for you if you need me. If you need help with this, I'll get you in touch with the right person to get all your information switched over. Whatever you need, I'm here. Here's my number. Man, I'd hate to see you go. You've been a part of our community for a while, but good luck to you, man. And it was like, I never felt a negative feeling from you or any of the other members of Housecall Pro that I've become close with. I mean, I've known Alexa from way back when. I still think of Alyssa Bennett as a Housecall Pro employee because she was there at the Mastermind and she helped me with so many different other things. And
that's right.
I mean, it's just been phenomenal. And so anyway, I decided that was not for us. I'm going back to Housecall Pro. And in the time that I was trying to transition over here, a lot of the updates that came through were exactly what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
just like you told me, but in such a loving way of, hey man, we've got some things coming. I know it's not as quick as you'd like. We've got so much going into this, but in the time that I tried to jump away and then come back, holy moly. What we can do with Housecall Pro is consistently getting better. There's consistently ways of you taking our input and our needs and saying, hey, I know you're frustrated with this. We're working on it. We're doing our best here. We're doing this and trying this. We hear you. It takes a little bit of time, because what you guys don't realize is we could go ahead and promise you all this stuff and not do it and charge you what these other companies are, but you won't be happy. And you deal with it in such a good way when people are upset, because people are bashing stuff every day, all day, little things that they're mad about, but they don't realize that what they have is the best absolute one for the price that you guys are charging. It's phenomenal. And I don't get paid by Housecall Pro to say that. We're just good friends. But on the other side, we use it and we love it. I mean, I try to talk to any other service contractor in my town and let them know this is what we're using and this is what helps us stay up here, and you're starting out and you're down over here. So, I mean, none of the other companies around here, but the one I used to work for uses Housecall Pro. That's an HVAC company, and they're still doing paper tickets, and people are just like, wow, we have so much information from you. We can see what you did, these pictures, these notes, the reminders, the ability to schedule maintenances and have a service contract. Wow, this is great. Service,
yeah, the memberships, whatever. All of it. Yeah, and I think that's where I always tell people, we've got our product roadmap. It's public. There's a link for it. And there's our Facebook group where you can see lots of people that are asking for more and more stuff. And they're, sometimes my mom goes, Roland, are you ever going to be done? Are you guys ever just done building? I'm like, oh no, there's no done building. Housecall Pro is going to build infinitely for infinite amount of years from now. And so there's just so much cool stuff to do. And we only do it via kind of this feedback. And so for us, the customers that we have are equally as important as the customers sometimes we lose. And we say, hey, what did we miss on? What can we do better? And I feel like even for home service businesses too, this is just a golden nugget here is if you happen to lose a quote or an estimate, feel free. Don't be shy. Ask the homeowner, hey, I'm sorry I didn't get the chance to service you, but in the future, I'd love to improve my business. Is there anything that I missed or I could have done better to help you win the bid? Just give me your frank advice. And you'd be surprised at how many people would be like, oh, I went with this, or you know what, I just really didn't have the money, and maybe it had nothing to do with you, or maybe it had nothing to do with other bids. But asking for that advice, being open to receiving that advice, are two big steps for any business: software, home service business, HVAC business in Heber Springs and in Arkansas, like whatever it is super important. Yeah.
Man, thank you so much for allowing me to be on here and be a part of this community. I love it. I was talking to Nordenson today, and I was like, man, I want to do another mastermind. I know that there's a lot of logistics and a lot of stuff on there, or even some local meetups between pros we talked about.
Yep.
That's going to be so big, because when I was just fresh into it and not really understanding the scope of what could become, me being able to see other pros and see them on stage and talk about the stuff and be open and honest and talk about their mess ups. Man, I learned, and they were in a group of people we were all using or wanting to use Housecall Pro. So it was a safe space to talk about, hey, I screwed up. I did this all wrong. Blah, blah, blah. And then seeing them after, they're just normal, regular people. But man, they figured out, hey, I did this wrong, and someone helped me. So let me help you. Try this, and this. And yeah. I mean, I'm still in contact with quite a few of the people I met at that first mastermind.
It's so good to hear, because our mission as a company is to champion all of our pros' success in whichever way we can. And if we can do it by helping introduce you with other pros that are either in a similar boat or were in your shoes at some point in time, or maybe will be in your shoes in a certain point in time. This is why we host the podcast. And I'm just super thankful and grateful that you had the opportunity to come on here, share some of your tips, share some of your leadership advice, share some of your company values, kind of all the things that got you to where you are today. So I'm excited. It's springtime. I know you guys are going to have a crazy summertime. I'm excited to see your guys' upcoming success. As always, Jason, a pleasure talking to you today. Thank you for coming on, and excited to see where you're headed.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, man. Have a great weekend.
Take care, Jason.